Papa.
Yeah. And don't listen to Dad on the water level because it's always way more. So anyway, this is as I said before, the traffic, things are dynamic. We'll say in Kiev, the Russians are using their Air Force there in Kiev, which I sense that they avoided because there were so many Americans there doing live shots from their balcony, and it was all about flashes on the horizon, and there were some onesies and twosies there in Kiev. But these are earth-shaking airstrikes in Kiev by the Russian Air Force. And then, you know what I was saying yesterday? Well, it happened today. Belarus, the Belarus army is in Ukraine.
The mighty Belarus army. Again,
a circa 1952 gigantic nation of LARPers, of Stalin cosplay. They have entered the fray on this one, and so the one of the belligerents is now bordering NATO. That's the takeaway on that is that 24 hours ago, Belarus was a co-belligerent that they let the Russians use their jet ski and invade from there, but they were still heading towards Kiev. Now the Belarus army proper is on the ground in Ukraine, where it's 6:18 in PM.
Bryan, potential game changer. Did you see that we expelled 12 Russian diplomats?
The United States informed the United Nations and the Russian mission to the United Nations that we were beginning the process of expelling 12 intelligence operatives from the Russian mission who had abused their privileges of residency in the United States by engaging in espionage activities that are adverse to our national security.
What's funny to me is that that's always going on. But whenever tensions begin to escalate or world conflicts, then we expel each other from each other's countries.
Yeah.
But we all know that we're spying on each other, right?
And so the way this works is sometime in the next couple hours, 12 U.S. diplomats in Moscow are going to get some awesome news. Pack your bags because you're getting the hell out of Russia while the getting is good. And they know who these guys are. They're not the second deputy agricultural liaison to Putin's Russia. You know, they're actually running agents in Moscow, and they'll be
water, Papa. She said it's 3 feet high and right.
And the hives are off the thing and all that. So anyway, the game is afoot. And also by the way, this message tonight is to Joe Biden as well. If Zelensky is still alive, that is some kind of miracle. But this is meant to be delivered today on March 1st on the day of the State of the Union. Make no mistake about this. This could have happened right after Biden got the applause and walked out. But it's not. It's happening today in real time before noon in Washington, D.C., and that's part of it. So if this way, my sense is that if Zelensky is dead, Biden will know by 6 p.m. where we're going to have live coverage of the State of the Union tonight on AM 770 KTTH, Fox News Radio. So listen close. But that's just because I know how the guy operates, and this is the kind of stuff he does. He's really steamed on day 6 that the guy's still alive, and he's mocking him to the European Parliament this 3 hours ago. And getting a standing ovation and crying and the whole thing, and he's completely upstaging Putin. And by the way, as the Chinese are sitting back, they're playing this is that they do a tremendous amount of business with Europe, and if they didn't count, Putin sold this to Xi as this will be so fast.
Well, you can't
Johnny
fault
Cash
him.
will still be talking before he starts playing.
I'm not sure you can fault Putin for this because no one has challenged him in the last 10 to 20 years.
No, you're right.
And then he also saw what happened in Afghanistan. He was watching closely, make no mistake, because Russia also has a storied, troubled history in that region in Afghanistan. And when we bailed
we say
and showed weakness, Afghanistan fell in, 24 hours? And the world didn't give a rat's about it, right? And so he went, oh, my gosh, I'm reading the table here, and it looks like this could be a walk in the park going into Ukraine here.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, he's sticking his thumb in your eye on the day of the State of the Union to try to decapitate the Ukrainian government. And so, to close up what I was saying, what he told Xi was, is there won't be any blowback on this. Don't worry about it because it'll be over so fast. The Europeans won't be able to mobilize. And so the Chinese are watching this from Beijing, and they're saying, well, we thought Vladimir was more ruthless than he is. We thought he was more efficient than he is. And the real marker is not when he takes Kiev. It's when the Europeans wake up. That's before the song plays.
And I wrote poems, songs.
And he hasn't even gotten to the song. And so so it's all coming apart politically. Take a step back. I mean, it's easy for me because I'm not in Kiev, and I didn't just, see the attempt to kill Zelensky and everybody in the media building.
Brian, a little more Zelensky trivia.
Which went like this, by the way.
Yeah, go ahead.
Что по телеге Киев.
1, 2. Huge explosion.
Did you know that Zelensky played the voice of Paddington the bear in the Paddington movies?
For the Ukrainian
translation of the Paddington. It's the greatest family movie of all time. Putin is trying to kill Paddington the bear. Okay?
Basically.
Zelensky won Dancing with the Stars. It's just so heartbreaking that, yes, Ukraine had its problems, has its problems. They're trying to get rid of corruption. They're trying to westernize. They want to be part of the EU. And that's no secret to Putin, who saw this window of opportunity. But these countries that kind of get caught in the middle of these great world superpowers always seem to suffer the worst, whether it's Poland in World War II or the Ukraine right now. It's just terribly sad.
There you go. So we'll take a break. I'll see if I can get caught up to speed on the latest. My bar is, can I get better information to you that I can endorse before NBC even breaks in with the story? And apparently the bar's pretty low today. Pretty easy to jump over that one. Back into second AM 770. Brian Suit Show at Dark Secret Place on the Twitter. And tonight, 6 p.m., State of the Union on Fox News Radio here on AM 770 KTTH. Live to our coverage.
Time for a new look in your kitchen? Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. Turn your kitchen into the beautiful showplace that it ought to be and save thousands. Call me for a free estimate. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600. That's 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
AM 770 KTTH, Brian Suits here, and we're covering these very intense, huge airstrikes by the Russian Air Force in a place they weren't touching 5 days ago. That's the heart of Kiev, where the Ukrainian government continues to broadcast. I mean, as of 3 hours ago, as President Volodymyr Zelensky spoke to the European Union via translator about joining the EU and all that, and so. As I said, the guy's very active on Twitter, and he responds to Putin very quickly. So that's why I say he hasn't tweeted in 2 hours. This strike was about half an hour ago. The last thing he tweeted was a thank you to the king and queen of the Netherlands.
It's funny you bring up his Twitter account. I saw that he went from about 1.5 million followers a week ago to somewhere around like 4 million followers. And I, like you, am checking it constantly to see how much time has gone by between his last tweets.
Yeah. You know how many people he's following?
Zero. Which is kind of a cool move, actually.
I want to get a follow. It was funny during the Armenia.
No, but he's saying explicitly, I'm not a follower, I'm a leader here.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the well, I guess I did play it this hour, didn't I? Him speaking to the EU.
Yes, we got to play that reporter again, though, who made himself a part of the story, and his moral equivalence was just astonishingly
all right,
awful.
So this is it's just gonna do the Inslee to me. It's gonna just piss me off again. So that's what you're okay.
Trigger warning.
I'll do it. All right. So this morning, and so again, my disclaimer. All of you in the international media, the story's not about you. And by the way, the refugee thing, I get it. That's a human interest story, but it doesn't lead the war. Okay, where are the Russian or the Belarus has joined the war? That might be your lead story. I don't know. Or the Russian Air Force trying to decapitate Ukrainian leadership also might be a story if you get on it. But the story is certainly not about you and your brave escape from Kiev. And by the way, I have it on excellent authority that there's a French company, I got to get this straight, that's for a 6-passenger with driver from Lviv to Poland is 35,000 euros.
Seriously.
French company is charging 35,000 euros to supply a 6-passenger car and driver out of Lviv.
So,
and by the way, it's like 30 miles.
Right.
Worst Uber ever.
You brought up the refugee crisis, so I'll just say
1 star on that driver.
I've got family members that, of all places in the world, are actually missionaries in Slovakia. And when they chose that just a few years ago, we thought, well, why are you choosing Slovakia? It seems kind of random.
So beautiful there.
It's right. And so we're getting texts from them now because they're at the forefront now of this refugee crisis that is unfolding in Eastern Europe. And I got this text this morning. They set up a camp less than a mile from their house in a vacant building, 150 beds. And they've already had hundreds of people flood into the area. Most of them are passing through. They want to get further west, but they want to
get to Germany. Yeah,
right. They're saying it's a marathon, not a sprint, and that they're going to be expecting a lot more to come through their area.
More.
Crazy.
So this is a Rolling Stone reporter named Matt Crosby. Something like this is this morning on Morning Joe. I'm driving in, and this guy Mika is reading from his piece about how he had to sleep on a couch cushion in the parking garage. And he got so tired of it, he went up to the lobby and slept on a couch, and the security guard moved him down to the parking garage, and, this is horrible. And then he had to get in the car, and he was really tired. And he did confess that, yeah, he was in a 4-star hotel, and there was a maid and the whole thing. So, but anyway, this is a guy apparently has never been to a war, and so he thought, hey, I know, I'll go cover a war. And everyone has to have a first, and so this is his. But it's what he says here at the end about modern mechanized warfare that's so naive. And I'm going to plug my ears.
You wanted to swear there, I could tell.
Oh, my God.
And, most crucially, we've seen multi-launch rockets and potentially cluster munitions hitting residential areas that I have visited in the northeastern parts of the city. Right.
Oh, one last setup. It's crystal clear to all of us former fire support officers in the U.S. Army with wartime experience. And so that's me, that they're targeting civilian apartments. They're targeting civilian areas. So anyway, back to guy who's about to, believe it or not, anger me.
Multi-launch rockets and potentially cluster munitions hitting residential areas that I have visited in the northeastern parts of the city, right along the front line. These are the realities of modern mechanized war. These are damages and pain that countries like Russia and countries like the United States have inflicted on countries around the world for decades.
Consume a satchel of Richards, bro. This morning we had an on-air conspiracy. We had an on-air meeting, and I suggested, and Greg talked me off the ledge, that we arrange an interview with him so I can call him a D
and hang up on him
to his face. So no, let him hang up on me.
Oh, I see.
I'm as someone who had to go through a lawyer just to shoot a illumination round at night, who had to go through a military lawyer called a JAG, and believe me, he wasn't the guy from the TV show.
And wait, this is the guy from Rolling Stone?
This is Matt Crosby, the writer from Rolling Stone.
Rolling Stone should stick to Billie Eilish and John Legend coverage and less about the fog of war.
You know who I trust on Rolling Stone? Matt Taibbi.
Yeah, he's great.
The guy's liberal as hell, but he doesn't lie.
Right.
And he knows what he doesn't know.
There's no agenda. Yeah, exactly. Right.
And I mean, equivocating an American artillery officer or pilot who has to bounce off of a lawyer to drop a bomb with an army that's intentionally trying to create civilian casualties on a day where they fired 2 cruise missiles when there would be a big crowd of people in a square, in Freedom Square in Kharkiv. For him to say this is...
These are damages and pain that countries like Russia and countries like the United States have inflicted on countries around the world.
Just stunning. And also, hey, how about some sympathy for the people in Syria where Putin created a refugee crisis to overwhelm Europe? The Sunnis in Syria had no desire to learn about Christmas in Berlin. They were bombed out of Syria because Putin said to Assad, let's get the Sunnis out. Who let the Sunnis out? Let's get them out of there. And let's make it a Shia. Let's make it a Shia Arab Syria. I'll move in some Shia from Afghanistan, from my country. Putin created that crisis in 2015 or 16. Millions of Syrians. You remember the boy's body who washed up on the beach in Turkey?
Oh,
remember
yeah,
that picture?
Photo went viral. Yeah,
Putin did that. Get a little sticker with Putin.
Well, so
on
it's
that
interesting you bring up Syria because I was reading some social media chatter last night in juxtaposing the situation in Ukraine to what has happened in Syria with well over, I think, 500,000 dead bodies over there. Why do you think the outrage level and the international reaction is different here in this particular case compared to what we've seen in Syria for a couple decades now?
This is just the truth. There's no, agenda here, but it looks like us. The majority of Europe, overwhelmingly 94% Caucasian. The United States is whatever we're 78% or whatever. But whoever you are, whatever your race is, you live in a modern first world nation, and you're seeing people driving cars, making jokes, shooting video, playing with their kids. And so that's a big part of it.
Well, it sounds like there may be some level of prejudice or just default kind of human nature with that. But also, I mean, Assad wasn't invading. And it was his own country.
It was a civil war.
Factions within his own country.
But that's coming in the 13th year of the United States engaged in that part of the world. And I absolutely know. I mean, I know firsthand that when that kicked off in Syria, there were a lot of people, kind of me sort of included, just rolling my eyes going, oh, that place. From here, pretty much from Morocco to Pakistan. I don't want to hear any news, over it because I don't get to go to Eastern Poland in uniform. I don't get to go to Denmark or Norway. No, I go to places where really horrible stuff is